Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Daytona International Speedway here tonight for the Cora Sunday Money Series. Tonight they are running their All-Star event here at Daytona. A bit of a interesting combination here tonight. We have the Cadillac CTSV race cars at Daytona International Speedway for this All-Star event, so it's going to be a little bit different, but should be interesting and entertaining. Hello, everybody. My name is Kyle Young, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Harrison Weidelitz and Series Director Alan Larson to call the shots here tonight. Harrison, Alan, good to have you guys in the booth.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Unique combination should prove to be really interesting going into this race. Basically, we know nothing about how this car will race at Daytona, so it's going to be a good show.
It should be fairly interesting to see what is going to happen. Since this is an all-star event, there are some special rules and specifications here for this event. So we will turn the mic over here to Alan Larson real quick to give a quick rundown on what to expect here tonight.
Hey guys, it's going to get exciting here. We're going to do, well, it's of course 60 laps, but we're going to split it up into 3 segments. Segment number 1 will be 30 laps. There'll be a mandatory caution, and there will be an elimination at that point. We'll get you the numbers here as time goes on. I'm not sure how many will be eliminated at that point. Then we'll run another 30 laps or till lap 35, and then if the caution comes out around that, we'll call, if it doesn't come out, we'll call a manual caution, and then we'll go from there, and then run the last number of laps there to the end.
So that is how things are going to be run here tonight. Should be a very interesting event to watch and see how things play out here. I'm definitely excited for this. It'll be interesting to see this different kind of combination and see how everything plays out with a normally a road racing car here on iRacing battling it out on a super speedway.
Yeah, these cars are making only about 460 horsepower, 480 torque, which is kind of similar to a restrictor plate car, so the speeds aren't terribly different, but judging by the qualifying chart and then the practice times when these guys were drafting together, it does seem to be a little over a second difference between the two. So these cars topping out at about 175 miles an hour solo, and then getting all the way up to about 180, 181. So it'd be interesting to see just how aggressive these guys get using their bumpers to bump draft and try to get some speed any way possible. If possible, I'm sure these guys would even like to try to figure out tandem drafting. Not sure if it would work in this car, but that's the fun thing about an all-star race with an interesting combination.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be something that is going to be interesting to watch for here tonight, Harrison, is if we're going to see a pack draft or a tandem draft. I don't believe that these cars have very even bumpers. So I would think that, especially with it being a road car, not everything, not anything that these guys are used to, I would think that they would try to pack race, but as the race winds down and they get a better handle for these cars and know what they're doing, it'll be interesting to see if they do try to break off into tandems in these Cadillacs.
Yeah, as we get deeper into the race and we come down to the finish or the closing of segments and people are just trying to get every position that they can, desperate moves will happen. So a lot of times, even if it's not the fastest way to go around the track, you'll see people using their bumpers more. So we should get an idea fairly early on just how even the bumpers line up. Clearly, they don't look like they line up that well, but sometimes the cars will give you this little bit of spacing where you can just make it work if you position your car in the right spot, but it's certainly unpredictable.
Yeah, unpredictable is definitely going to be the main word here tonight. So we're getting set and ready here to go. So why don't we let these guys finish up their qualifying runs and we'll head it down trackside for our pre-race invocations.
We ask that you all rise, and gentlemen, please remove your caps, as Reverend Dusty Dent gives our pre-race invocation.
Dear Lord, let us pray. We want to thank you, Lord, for all we have. Dear Lord, we ask you that you protect those men and women who serve us both here and abroad. And oh Lord, we give thanks to those who have served us and have given that ultimate sacrifice that we may enjoy the liberties that we have today. And oh Lord, we ask you that you give these drivers the skill and the good internet connection so that we may be given a race like no other. Lord, we ask you that our racing give us the green-white checkers that we so deserve, and that we may enjoy an exciting race to the finish we all want to see. Lord, may you heighten the senses and protect these drivers so that they can give us a 3-wide door-banging race to the checker flag tonight. And can we all say amen? And I'll say amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as we proudly introduce Jaden Berkey to sing our national anthem.
God be glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
And now at this time, the 5 sons of our CEO, James Brown, Alex, Andrew, Nick, Cody, and Ethan will deliver the 4 most famous words in all of automotive racing. Good luck, drivers. To all those watching, it's time to sit back, relax, and strap it down. Let's go Sunday money racing, Cora style.
Back here getting ready to get these guys rolling off the grid here to start the Cora Sunday Money All-Star race here. And before we do, we will send it back down trackside real quick for the command to start engines. On the pole in the number 35 machine here tonight, that is Nathan Sedlick into his outside starting second. And the number 98 is John Larson.
In row number 2, we've got Nicholas Doucette in the number 51 alongside the number 04 of Galen Gidman.
Rounding out your top 5 in the number 69 machine, that is Dale Smalling to his outside, and the number 78 is Michael Johnson starting in 6th.
Dallas Markle, the points leader for the Sunday night series, obviously tonight being the All-Star event, he will be starting in 7th position alongside Gary Bauer.
Rounding out the top 10 in row number 5 on the inside of the number 7 machine is Travis Brown into his outside in the number 81. Starting in 10th is Colton Berkey.
Colton's father, Gordon Berkey, will be starting 11th alongside of him, Everett Lane.
The number 44 machine of Kevin McCarthy is going to roll off 13th here tonight. Into his outside is the number 18 machine of Jay Anderson.
And in the final starting position, we have the number 79 of Joel Wood.
With this being an all-star event, obviously some certain specifications allow you to participate in this event. So only 15 drivers are going to be competing in this event. here tonight. A little bit different from the normal about 30 to 35 car fields that we normally see here in the Cora Sunday Money Series. But so we got 15 guys, 60 laps. 3 different segments, I guess you could break it up into, and it should be a very interesting race to see how these Cadillacs are going to perform on this super speedway.
Yeah, there will be an inversion late in the race before the final segment, but these drivers have no idea how it's going to go, and neither do we, honestly. So these cars, it'll just be very interesting. They're down on power. It's kind of similar. It's actually a little bit slower than the NASCAR National Series car would run here. And so these guys are going to be they've been feeling them out in practice, and now in a race situation, kind of a different mentality. And I think we'll see a good bit of patience early on. But the visibility in these cars, something that we haven't talked about, is not as good as you would have in a NASCAR series car. So these drivers don't quite know where their fenders are compared to what they're usually driving. So it'll be very interesting to see just how well they manage coming through traffic and putting themselves in tight spots.
Indeed it will there, Harrison. It is going to be interesting to see how they can adapt to that different change. Something that I'm kind of curious to see, what do you think here, Harrison? With these guys, they know that they have that little, that first little break there. Do they just kind of try to make sure they're not part of those elimination drivers? Or, do you kind of, actually race here to see what you can do?
I think we'll see multiple agendas. There will be a few driving really aggressively, and then some others just worried about beating out the cut right there. As we're coming to the green flag, and the leader takes off. We're green in the All-Star race.
Green flag has dropped on this field. 15 guys fighting out to be the All-Star here in the Cora Sunday Money Series. A good start throughout the field. Everybody's cleaning green here. And it looks like Nathan Sedlak is going to have the advantage heading into turn number 1, as he is going to be able to clear the 98 to his outside. On his back bumper is Nick Doucette in the 51 machine. 13-year-old driver behind that 51 machine, duking it out here against some of these older drivers. So as they head down the back straightaway here, looks like there's one car off of the lead draft, but everybody else for right now is 2 wide as they head into turn 3.
Yeah, these drivers giving themselves some space, not looking to go 3 wide at this point. Nick Doucette with a good start right up on the bumper. That is the number 35 of Nathan Sedlak in the lead. But the high side's not giving up here, and they're actually getting a pretty good run. For a second there, I thought they were just going to be getting trained, but John Larson with a little bit of help from Michael Johnson, and behind Michael Johnson, third car on the outside, Gary Bauer, and the top 6, are side by side. We have 3 rows of 2.
Joel Wood in the 79 machine is the car who dropped off the lead pack. He is 4.5 seconds back. As we had mentioned, lap 15 is going to be the first competition caution for these guys, and will be the first elimination. 2 drivers, the lowest 2 drivers in the standings, will be eliminated from this event. And right now, Joel is going to need a caution, because he is not going to be able to catch back up to these guys on his own. If he doesn't get the caution, then it is going to be one quick event for him, riding around all by himself, and I'm sure that is not how he would like his All-Star race to go.
Yeah, Joel is definitely going to need a caution. Another car hanging back but still latching onto that lead draft is the number 3 car of Dallas Markle, and as I said earlier, he is the Sunday Money points leader, and I believe right now he's just waiting for a caution. He's not holding himself back enough that he's going to lose the draft, but he certainly doesn't seem to be wanting to race too hard as of right now, and he's letting these guys race, and he's scoping them out and seeing how they drive. And when it comes down to that competition caution about 12 laps from now, we will see him making a push forward. Right now, I think he's just watching everybody and making sure that if a wreck breaks out, he can avoid it. Oh, we have a crash in the middle of 3 and 4.
Wow, a horrendous crash has just occurred. Our 2 leaders, John Larson, Nathan Sedlak, come together. Now actually they're wrecking off of turn number 4. A bigger problem there, but Nathan Sedlak got turned hard into the outside wall, and as soon as that car made contact with the outside wall, that thing went upside down in a violent flip. And then something else happened as that was happening, and a couple other drivers got involved here. So a massive accident in turn number 4 here in lap number 3 will bring out the first caution of the night.
Yeah, it looks like the number 98 of John Larson was simply trying to side draft, as we're about to have the replay for you in just a minute. But that's a situation where the car on the high side was trying to side draft the leader, got a little bit too close, and simply a little bit of netcode action is really the reason for that hook. And then a number of cars, as they're coming through the wreck, involved as well. Just a lot of carnage out of turn number 4. At least 4 or 5 different cars around, and the leader of the race head on into the outside wall, come through 3 and 4, certainly with the most damage out of any of them. And this is very interesting because it gives Joel Wood another shot at not being that car that gets eliminated, because he was far back enough that he probably had no problem avoiding this wreck. I didn't see if he made his way through, and yes, he did actually, made his way up to 11th. But in Dallas Markle, I was just mentioning that he was kind of hanging back, waiting for that to happen. And it immediately happened, and he got on the brakes. No one was behind him. He got hard on the brakes and avoided the entire wreck. So good job by Dallas.
Now, I know normally here in the Sunday Money series, these guys do have, I believe, at least one, if not multiple resets. Alan, do these guys have those resets here in this All-Star race, or are they out on their own here for those who were involved?
I believe tonight for the All-Star race we left them with unlimited. Normally we only give them 2 during a Sunday Money event, but I think they're unlimited here tonight.
So these guys will be able to get fresh cars. Damage isn't going to be an issue tonight, but however, some of those guys like Nathan Sedlak, the 98 machine there, John Larson, who were up front, they're now going to have to go to the back, get their cars repaired, and have to work their way back up through the field. Now, to get to the front, they would have to do that, but we're probably going to get the restart around lap 7 or 8, maybe lap 9. So really, with that little time left before the planned competition caution, I would think that their main goal would try to just stay out of the elimination spots. But if they're going to have to get back up to the front, it'll put a little bit more of a challenge for them. And we didn't really see a lot of passing there that first run. These guys kind of just stayed in their lines and kind of just drove around. And I saw a lot of kind of sweaving and swaying there going on. So these guys still trying to get used to this field with these cars here out on the super speedway.
Yeah, and certainly running behind someone, that draft will mess with you a little bit. As well as just changing your visibility. You're kind of searching for that line of how, where you could run the car and exactly how much wheel input you need to use. But just think about the reset. That gives these guys another chance. It also gives them another chance to crash, but it gives them another chance that they certainly don't want to use another reset. If they were involved in the first one, kind of similar to 12 years ago in the Sprint Cup All-Star race, I believe it was 12 years ago that rain fell on the track and they let the drivers take out their backup cars. Similar here, but no rain, but similar rules in enforcement. So Nicholas Doucette capitalized on that crash that happened right in front of him, and Nick Doucette to the lead in a great position, because if he's able to just hold that low line, he should have no problem avoiding becoming an elimination car. But certainly, as we saw, if the car above you is pinching a little bit too hard or trying to side draft you, anything can happen. Nobody is really safe in the pack.
Taking a look at our leaderboard here after that incident, I'm seeing 2 cars 1 lap down, Nathan Selleck and Gordon Berkey. There were no drivers a lap down at the time of the caution, so I don't believe either of them are going to be the lucky dog. And if they don't get the caution, those 2 guys, we could be looking at our eliminated drivers already after this 15-lap segment here. They would have to hope for another very quick caution, at least one of them. Getting 2 cautions back-to-back within about a 7 or 8 lap period, I just don't see that happening. It's very unlikely for that to happen. So unfortunately, those guys, maybe their cars were too damaged to drive back to the pits. I know they were in turn 4, but even though that, it could have taken a bit long for the tow, and might not have been able to get back out onto the track. So Nathan Selleck and Gordon Berkey right now sitting 1 lap down, 14th and 15th, and as of right now, they are the 2 guys looking on the outside to get back into the rest of this race. It's just going to be very, very hard for them to do that, not being eligible for the lucky dog.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you had that right. It was the tow. They had to tow from the accident scene, and that's how they lost their laps. Meanwhile, everyone else able to drive in a pit road, reset their cars, did not have any issues. But it definitely, so they need a caution, and certainly they'll be battling for that lucky dog should a caution fall. but they certainly will only have about 6 or 7 laps to be able to get it done once we go back green. This time by, we should get the 1 to go. The pace car light should be out. And meanwhile, Joel Wood, who had that rough start, was just hanging way back there, maybe by design, honestly, will be restarting this race in the 7th position. So he's got to be feeling pretty good about his chances. He needed a caution, and he got it.
Indeed, he did. So possibly a smart strategy move there for Joel Wood. Looks like the lights are now off on the pace cars. The field starts to double up. So they're going to have 8 laps until the competition caution for the end of this segment will fly. It does look like after we've gotten a couple pace laps in that Nathan Sedlak and Gordon Berkey are the only 2 lap down cars. I'm sure that these guys who are on the lead lap are getting note of that from their spotters and such. They saw the accident, some of them were involved in the accident, so I'm sure now that they know that the 2 drivers who are in position to be eliminated are off of the lead lap, you would think that with these guys knowing that, they kind of take it easy here, just ride these last 8 laps out nice and smooth, nice and calm, learn some more about the cars, how to drive them, how to use the draft, and then figure out, if they want to come down. Because remember, that pit stop on lap 15, the lap 15 competition caution is optional. You do not have to come down pit road under this competition caution. It's the one on lap 35 that is necessary. So these guys probably looking to use these 8 laps just to kind of learn some things and see if they want to do anything under that caution pit-wise.
Yeah, and it's all about fuel for these guys. They're not using any tires unless they're involved in a wreck or spin out, at which point they'll probably go for tires, but these guys only need enough fuel to finish the race. Track position is key. Even though you can pass and you can get runs and slingshot around everybody on a super speedway, they want that track position. Starting on the inside of row number 1 is the place to be, which is where Nick Doucette will be for this restart. But certainly the mixed strategies, you do think, we saw them trying 3 wide a lot in practice, and a lot of 2 wide there leading up to that wreck. And I think you'll see them stick with 2 wide here up until the first competition caution, and the 3 wide will come later in the race as they battle hard for a top finishing position.
Pace car ducks down onto the safety of pit road. The green flag is back out. Nick Doucette gets off to a good restart, instantly clearing Michael Johnson on the outside. And we are back racing 8 laps to go here in the first segment. Everybody getting off to a nice clean restart, getting ready to head down into turn number 1 here. Looks like the 78 Michael Johnson is going to be able to drop down to the bottom line, I believe, behind the 07 machine of Gary Bauer. And starting to figure things out, sort things out as they come off of turn number 2.
Yeah, rough start for Michael Johnson. He went to grab 3rd gear and it wasn't there. As we have Gary Bauer in the number 07 moves to the outside. Nick Doucette in the 51, looking to try to get the lead on the outside. The outside doesn't look bad. I think we will see some passes on the outside for the lead. But Michael Johnson was lucky to get back in line at 3rd. Missed a gear, and they checked up behind him. Maybe a little bit of contact behind him, not much. Don't think anyone sustained any heavy damage, but that could be a rough position to put yourself in when you have a shifting problem. But luckily they came out through there relatively unscathed, as the top 3 on the outside looking to run a little bit closer than the top 3 on the inside. On the outside, we've got Dale Smalley, Gary Bauer, and actually caution on the racetrack.
Spin to the back of the field, a couple cars getting together, and we have another car or incident. A couple cars getting it together, slowing down for the yellow and going around. So the initial caution, I believe it was the 98 machine of John Larson who got turned into the outside wall. It is. As I look at his car is all bent up into pieces here. And looking at the other incident, looks like possibly an issue slowing down for the field. Trying to see here if Nathan Sedlak was involved. I don't believe he was. He was involved in the secondary incident. I don't know if that is going to disallow his eligibility for the lucky dog. But if it does not, Nathan Sedlak will be the lucky dog on this yellow flag. And he will be able to get his lap back and put himself on the lead lap. That's huge for him if he's able to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking back at the wreck, initially, John Larson, the 98, took the blame for the crash because he entered turn 1, went straight up the track, just kind of missed the handle on the car, got very tight. But what happened was at the same time, he might have thought that he got into the 24 of Everett Lane, but he actually did not. So Everett Lane was in the wall and unstuck himself from the wall of glue, so to speak, and it shot him back down the track into the 98, hooking John Larson around. And then, as you said, the driver's checking up for the caution coming out of turn number 2, just sort of checking up at points that were unpredictable to the cars in front of them. A little bit surprising. That's sort of a rare incident that you see right there. I only believe the 18 of Jay Anderson, excuse me, and the 35 of Sedlick sustained any damage from that. The other car came away pretty much completely clean, and certainly the guys in the top 5 all avoiding damage in that, as they were not involved in anything.
Probable cause for that incident there, slowing down for these guys. You know, I don't believe they run a ton of road racing in the Sunday Money Series. So for these guys to be running a road car, it's a bit different for them. And slowing down, you know, using the brake to slow the car down, it's a little bit different in these cars than like the normal oval cars that they run. These cars can kind of get really slippy, slidey, kind of loose on you when you're applying the brakes. So that possibly could have happened there for one of these guys. Just hit the brakes a little bit too hard, kind of lost control, and then spun down into a couple others. Wasn't a huge accident there afterwards, but you know, again, it can still just be a bit of a learning process for these guys. You know, I mean, they did have a 90-minute practice session beforehand, but in a combination that you're not quite used to, you can try to get as much practice in as you can, but no matter how much time you have, it might not always be enough. And especially when you're around every other driver who you're racing with for the night, it's a lot different than just learning how to drive the car. It's learning how to drive the car while around people and how to feel the draft and things like that.
And sometimes in the middle of a practice session, you get used to that different car, and then in a race, you sort of resort to old instincts possibly they have for another car. So your body is thinking that it's a different race car that you're running when you get yourself back in traffic and you're in a pack at a super speedway. Certainly puts a little kink into what you're trying to do. But Dallas Markle, I'm not sure if he was involved at all in that spin after the checkup. He made his way to pit road. We'll be restarting somewhat towards the back. And it appears that he slowed up in time, so he's just making his way down to pit road, get a new set of tires, possibly lock the tires up. Actually, Dallas narrowly avoided the crash when John Larson went around.
So as these guys continue under caution, get things figured out on who will be starting where and lucky dogs and things like that, we will step aside real quick for a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back with the Cora Sunday Money All-Star Race here from Daytona International Speedway.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first. InsideSimRacing.tv,
the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway here tonight for the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event. The field has just gotten the one to go, getting ready to go back green flag racing. These guys will have 2 laps to fight it out until the competition caution to end this first segment.
And as you look at these cars, the dashboards on these Cadillacs actually have a monitor in them to be hooked up to a rear bumper camera, kind of used as a mirror. Or some of these drivers might be using them for other things, at which point I ask that you keep your eyes on the road and don't bother too much with any type of feed that you're looking at right now. But certainly don't need any GPS to find your way around the Daytona International Speedway. The broadcaster may or may not, talking about myself, have spilled some information that may or may not be true. But they're working around to the one, I believe that actually could have been the competition caution, being that we're so close to lap 15. Gonna have to get confirmation on that. But the lucky dog was actually given to Gordon Berkey in the number 17. Nathan Sedlick was in position but got involved in the wreck, so they gave it to the car that was not involved in the wreck. And Gordon Berkey will be looking to pass some cars to solidify his position to avoid any type of elimination. So these guys are coming to the green, and we'll see what happens here in the final lap or two before they take care of that elimination, actually.
Real quick before we go back green, Alan, have you heard anything on changing this end of the first segment here since we're so close, or is it still going to be at the end of lap 15?
I'm believing it's still going to be at the end of lap 15 yet. I haven't heard anything else yet as of right now, so expect another caution here in just a lap or two.
So there it is. We're still on the belief that we are going to get the competition caution at the completion of lap 15. So the green flag is out, 2 laps left in this segment. It'll be interesting if Gordon Berkey can make that pass to solidify him in, but it has definitely eliminated Nathan Sedlak, unfortunately. Tough for him. And Nathan will be joined by one other driver here, and we'll figure out who that is in 2 laps. As Nick Ducek gets off to a great restart. The top 3 drivers on the bottom line are going to be able to clear that 07 machine of Gary Bauer. And off the restart, it looks like the inside line prevails. And we've seen that before, the inside line better on the initial restart. But after guys get back up to pace, that outside line comes to life as we're seeing the 78 pulling up to the top side of the 51 to try to make the pass for the lead. He's got some drafting help from the 07, and looks like he's pulling up even to him as they work their way through turn number 4.
Yeah, coming through turn 1 on the restart, the cars haven't gotten up to speed yet as one car gets very loose.
Oh,
we have
and
a
they're
crash.
going around.
That is
Another
a big
caution.
crash.
Yeah, that will be the competition caution.
Looks like I'm seeing about 5 cars here, Harrison, who are coming to take the yellow flag. I don't see much behind them other than that. So a fairly big incident there. Looked like it was all triggered from the 07 machine of Gary Bauer just getting a little bit loose. He saved it, and then something else happens that caused some guys to go around. I'm seeing the 44 machine down in the infield grass. That's Kevin McCarthy's machine, all damaged and tore up. I believe there's some team cars there. I think it was the 7 car of Travis Brown and somebody else as well. We'll take back a look here and see exactly what did happen.
Yeah, Gary Bauer getting very loose at a turn number 4. Now, I thought that was going to be a crash right there, but he did a great job of saving it. And what happened was the yellow car behind him was Travis Brown in the number 7, and he lifted just a little bit to give Gary Bauer room. But Kevin McCarthy was looking at an outside lane, and as the car in front of him, Travis Brown, was lifting off of the throttle for Gary, Kevin McCarthy was on the throttle. He never lifted, was looking that he might have had a third lane to go to, but it closed up pretty much at the last second and drove into the back, and a bunch of cars piling in, one going skyward, just straight up in the air. That's a lot of cars involved in this caution. I believe it was Travis Brown who couldn't bring it around and would find himself in an elimination spot. but that is unconfirmed right now, depending on how they lined up. Actually, Travis Brown leaving the accident scene got spun around again, and that might have done him in.
Yeah, we have heard from the Cora officials that this will count as the competition caution. As we are seeing things kind of cycle through, it looks like right now Joel Wood is down in that 14th spot. We are going to wait to get confirmation on who the other elimination driver is. We know for sure that Nathan Sedlak, the number 35 machine, he is going to be eliminated from this event. We are just waiting to hear confirmation on who the second car is going to be, and as soon as we figure that information out, we will pass it along to you.
Yeah, leaving the accident scene, there were a few cars that were probably out of positioning and had to catch back up to the field. So it's a bit hard to say who was in the position to get the fall into one of those elimination spots. We know the 35 have said will be one of them. They might revert back to the positioning. Actually, as the admin, James Brown, is talking right now, they will be going back to the time of the caution when the accident broke out, who was running in the back. And if I look real quick, I think that's going to be Everett Lane who will be eliminated.
That'll be a tough break there for that number 24 machine. Just, it shows how important it is for your track position at every point in the race. Even though you're thinking, well, there's 13 spots that I have to be in, the majority of the spots to get in is easier than the guys for the spots to get out. But especially at these super speedways, especially with a car that doesn't normally run in the super speedways, anything can happen, and it's just a product of this type of format here for this all-star race. And it's a tough break, but we do know for sure that Sedlak is eliminated, but possibly hearing that maybe it'll be Everett Lane, but still trying to figure that out as we have a couple more pace laps here to go.
Alright guys, I got the information for you. Actually, there will be 3 eliminated. It will be Nathan Sedlak, Joel Wood, and Travis Brown will be the 3 that are eliminated on this caution. Then there will be 2 more at lap 35. However, anybody that stays connected and hangs around and watches the races, we're going to be doing a drawing for everybody in the field. Everybody will be entered in for a free tag of their choice.
So there you have it. The official word is Nathan Sedlak, Joel Wood, and Travis Brown eliminated. 3 eliminations instead of the 2. There will be 2 at lap 35 and a free drawing for all the drivers entered tonight. So I guess for those of you, for those who did get eliminated, I guess the negativity is kind of outweighed by the chance that you could win that drawing. But I'm sure those guys would like to, would definitely like to be out onto the racetrack there. And we are now down to a 12-car field here, and at lap 35 we'll have another competition caution, and we will knock the field down to 10 cars.
Yeah, that's about 18 laps from now. We should be getting the one to go, I think, this time by. So it'll be interesting to see just how these guys race. Obviously, Nicholas Doucette able to keep the lead ever since he got it. That first caution of the race, he was able to sneak by the 2 leaders tangling and has not relinquished that number 1 position. But as the cars in the back catch up, certainly that was a confusing situation. When a wreck like that happens as they cross the line, I believe what they did was they went with where the game lined up everybody. However, there were a few guys in the back catching up but as people made their way to pit road. So the officials, I believe James Brown took a good look at who was where and who should have been where and figured it out. Certainly I had it wrong because I looked very briefly at it. So we're down to 12 cars approaching the 1/3 mark of this race as they double up, and we'll be getting the green flag in just about a minute from now.
So we'll do a quick rundown through your field here. Nick Doucette in the 51 machine, he is your current race leader. He will be joined on the front wheel by Michael Johnson in the 78. Dale Smalley in the 69 will be 3rd. Galen Gidman in the 04 will line up 4th. Gary Bauer in the 07 will round out your top 5 with Gordon Berkey, Colton Berkey, John Larson, Dallas Miracle, and I believe is going to be Jay Anderson in 10th.
Yeah, Jay Anderson and I believe Everett Lane still in the race. It's going to be Travis Brown, Joel Wood, and Nathan Sedlick not currently running. Kevin McCarthy involved in that wreck is back on the track, but he is 1 lap down. I believe he had to take that tow, so McCarthy will be looking for a waiver out at some point during this race to get back on the lead lap, which he will have that chance, especially should we not have anyone else getting lapped. But it looks like most of these guys have fresh cars, will not have any problem keeping with the pack. As they're coming through turns 3 and 4 right now, Nick Doucette looking to continue where he has left off. The last couple of restarts has gotten great restarts, but as you said earlier, that high side comes in about half a lap into that first lap. Just takes a little bit to get up to speed, and that draft really kicks in. Certainly a 2-lane track at the least. It will be a 3 or 4-lane track by the time this thing is over. These cars can race each other just about anywhere in this facility. As we come to the entrance of pit road, the pace car will turn in.
Pace car ducks down off the racetrack. Nick Doucette hammers the throttle. We are green flag racing once again. A good start for him. Oh, he gets a little wiggly there. And also a great start for Dale Smalley in the 69s. He had a bit of an advantage there on Michael Johnson. Now they're even as they start to work their way down into turn number 1. Nick Doucette clear of the outside line, as well as Dale Smalley, as they work their way through turns 1 and 2 right now. Now you start to see that outside line kind of charge in. Michael Johnson and I believe Galen Gidman in that black machine there right behind him, pushing and leading the way on the outside line as they work their way down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Dale Smalley with a great anticipation on that start. And what he wanted to do, certainly telling by the body language, so to speak, of the car, he was looking to get in the high side in front of a 78, but simply just couldn't clear him in time to make it work. He probably knows, you know what, that could be my best chance to get this lead as the 69 gets loose at a turn 4, but with a quick save brings it back. These cars certainly don't handle like your average NASCAR car that runs around Daytona, as Nick Doucette runs a little higher in the tri-oval, trying to hold off that outside groove, but certainly with only even 2 cars pushing each other on the outside group, they're still able to keep up with these leaders as they're 3 in a row right at the bottom. And actually, as it grows and the cars in the back catch up, as we have 4 on the outside line, about 5 on the inside line, and Everett Lane is just picking and choosing, swinging back and forth in the back of the pack.
Yeah, Harrison, these guys, lots of swerving, moving around with these guys. For these cars, not primarily being raced on ovals, they're designed as a road racing car. As you can tell, these guys have a massive rear wing on the back of these cars, and I'm sure that's doing a lot to mess with the aerodynamic flow of these cars. They're not used to going a constant 175, 180 miles per hour, racing with each other just inches away from one another. So it's a lot different for not only the drivers, but for the cars too. And they handle it a lot differently. You know, they're designed for road courses, not to hold constant speeds like this for a while. So you know, it's different for everybody, and lots of moving around going on right now. But we got a couple laps in here, and hopefully it'll stay green. Everybody, you know, these lines are looking very, very even. The inside line has a bit of an advantage numbers-wise. But I think with the way that everybody's moving around, that it's allowing that outside line to kind of stay nice and tight and keep up with that inside line. We got a little contact now, and John Larson's number 98 is going to get sent through the infield grass. Caution is not out as of yet. Now it is, as he came back up and made some contact. I see a red and blue car going upside down. I believe that's the 81 machine of Colton Berkey, and the caution is out for the 4th time tonight.
Yeah, Jay Anderson, I was just thinking to myself a lap ago, he was in a tight spot and got really loose, was kind of swerving back and forth as he tried to save it, and he got it under control, but then when he came out of turn number 4, he was coming down that little short chute before the tri-oval, and was just kind of didn't quite have the car pointed in the direction he wanted to be, was a little bit loose on the steering. And as he sort of bounced off of the 17 in front of him, just a little bit of net code there, he comes down into the 98, and it sends the 98 into the grass. And it looks like there was going to be no caution, and then they got to the tri-oval, and the 18 of Jay Anderson got loose again and turns the 81, I believe, of Colton Berkey into the outside wall. That is the 81 of Colton Berkey. So that's a tough break for Berkey, as he will have to come down pit road. Not sure if he has a reset left. I do believe he does. Actually, I believe, yeah, it's unlimited resets for this evening. I'm sorry, I got confused for a second. But it appears that he would have to tow to pit road if he wants to reset his vehicle. He couldn't make it around the track and park somewhere in turn 2. So a rough set of circumstances, mostly centering around the 18 being very loose.
Yeah, I want to apologize for that. I figured the 98 machine came back up the track and made some contact. But that was not the case. The 18 and the 81 made some contact, so I do apologize for that one there. So we are under yellow once again. Even though he's the leader, Nick, you liking the view up front. I'm sure these cautions kind of hold him down. He likes to get up there and race it out, have some fun. And I believe once we get the green flag here to restart this baby, we will have, I believe, 10 or less left to go until the end of the segment.
Yeah, just about. We'll be within 10 to go. It's kind of interesting how these cars are racing. You do see a lot of guys getting loose on the low line more than the high side. I think that'll be a factor here. I don't think it's a tire issue. I just think it's as you said, the dirty air. Every car in this service sort of reacts a little bit differently to being behind someone, and certainly a car like this has different slipstream effects, and they feel very different behind other cars. So these cars reacting pretty weird in traffic to these drivers not used to driving something like this, which is what's very cool about an all-star event like this. But with only about 10 laps to go in the segment before we get to the third segment, we'll go green, see if we could go green to the competition yellow to end the second segment. I believe we will jump out real quick, head to commercial, and come back and bring you the green flag racing.
Hey, JD here with ETV Live, and let me tell you something. If it's too big for the pickup truck and you need to move it, there's only one trucking company you need to call, and don't bother with the Yellow Pages Cowboy. I'll give you that number in a minute. Manufactured goods, automotive, technical equipment, furniture, even if you need a reefer, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated is the only choice, Cowboy. With locations in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada, Rancho Cucamonga, California, if you need to move it, store it, and keep it cold, you need to call Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated. Long haul, short haul, or just across town, Gary Mercer has the best trained and qualified drivers to get your load from point A to point B with professionalism and on time. So remember, Hoss, if it don't fit in a pickup truck, you're going to need a real truck, Cowboy. Sponsors of ETV Live's Friday Night Showdown, Gary Mercer Trucking Incorporated, 1-800-668-2980.
Back here at the Daytona International Speedway for the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event here at Daytona Cadillac CTSVs. That's right, I said Cadillacs at Daytona International Speedway. Currently under caution here on lap 25 of the 60-lap event. I believe we're going to have 9 laps to go to get the restart for this segment. Right now, Nick Doucette hanging on to the lead. And while we have a moment, going to put the mic over to Alan Larson as he has some homework he's got to do here for tonight's event. So a couple of big events coming up here for the Cora drivers. Sounds pretty interesting, and if where could these guys go? Anybody interested in joining in the Sunday Money events or in that Border Wars event? Where can they go to get signed up and registered? So there you have it, folks. You now know how to register for those events, and if you are not busy for those events, you have no excuse why you should not race. So check out these guys. Should be a good time, as I believe half a lap now until we are going green flag racing, and we will have 9 laps to go until the competition caution to end this segment.
Yeah, and just to elaborate more on that, from what I've seen out of these guys over here at Cora, it's actually one of the few leagues where you pay an entry fee, and pretty much all of that, if not most of it, actually I phrased that backwards, most of it, if not all of it, goes into a payout. I was looking at the payouts for the Sunday Money series that runs on these Sunday nights, certainly the All-Star race here tonight. A very nice payout. The Border Wars event sounds like a lot of fun. Certainly a place that I would recommend. I would personally consider racing instead of doing a little broadcast right now. Certainly a fun place to race as they come out of 3 and 4. These cars are doubled up, as we have currently, I believe, 11 cars on the track, one of which kept it in the pits. That was the 81 of Colton Berkey not making his way back out. So we will have 11 coming to the green flag.
Pace car getting ready to duck down onto pit road here. Nick Doucette going to take another restart. He's getting a lot of practice for restarts here tonight. As the green flag comes back out, he hits the gas, and another good restart as he instantly clears the 78 of Michael Johnson, leaving the side-by-side racing behind him. And we are green flag once again. 9 laps to go here in this segment. We have 34 left in the entire event, as it looks like Dale Smalley in the 69 is also going to clear everybody on the outside line and try to bring the 07 to Gary Bauer with him.
Yeah, if he was thinking about moving to the high side, he thought about it slightly too late. That 78 car gets above him. Michael Johnson gets above that. As the 69 of Smalley goes underneath the apron for a moment there, just a little bit washing around, going down this back stretch. But this will, as we have a crash entering turn number 3, I know the caution's not out though. The 2 cars have moved to the apron and seem to be pointed straight. So Jay Anderson and Gary Bauer involved, but I don't believe it's going to bring out a yellow. It happened entering turn number 3. There was a 3 wide in the middle of the pack, and Gary Bauer got hooked. Jay Anderson a victim in that one, but I believe we have remained green up front. It's only a 6-car pack up front right now.
Yeah, Harrison, I did not hear from the Cora officials. I did not hear the call for the yellow flag. So we stay green, although we did have an accident. We stay green here. And as you said, the lead pack now down to 6 cars. So now it'll be a bit of a different race to watch now, as we've sliced our lead pack in half. But still the same story up front. It's Nick Doucette and the 78 of Michael Johnson.
Yeah, Michael Johnson leading that high line. And I like the high line. Nick Doucette doing a good job on the bottom, but I just get that feeling that we will see some lead changes to the outside, especially as later we go in a race, the more desperate people are, the more they look for that lane. We saw 3 wide resulted in an accident entering 3 a second ago, but they just kind of bounced off the wall and went to the grass, which is why they kept the green flag out, not wanting to throw another caution at this point. But Michael Johnson not quite able to get the run that he wants right now, but certainly trying. Dale Smalley moving around a little bit on the bottom, that blue car running second, battling for second right now alongside Michael Johnson. But the 04 of Galen Gidman, I've seen him a few times throughout this race as he gets loose right behind Michael Johnson. But Gidman has been doing a good job of pushing cars on this outside. Usually when I see a leader making a big run, the black number 04 is right behind him. So Gidman looking good, but certainly not looking to lead at this point. Just been trying to push guys on the outside, get a good run. But Nick Doucette still in control.
Yeah, Gidman's been looking very, very strong in his number 04 machine so far tonight. Is now John Larson in the 98 goes around. He's upside down, and the caution flag does come out this time on lap 30. 5th caution of the night. Another hard accident for John Larson. It has not been his night tonight as he goes upside down now for possibly the 2nd time himself. And also Gordon Berkey involved to bring out caution number 5 here on lap number 30.
Yeah, it's been a struggle for John Larson. I almost said Kyle Larson. It's been a struggle for John Larson in this event. And that, I believe, was a wreck that wasn't a product of the car getting loose, but the number 17 that was running in the 6th position was Gordon Berkey. And he came down the track a little bit, but he wasn't out of control. He was just trying to side draft, and as the 98 came up just a hair off of that yellow line as they exited the tri-oval, Gordon was trying to side draft. And there was room for them, but these cars, they have different netcode tendencies than a NASCAR car would. I don't believe you can side draft quite as tight as you could if, say, you were running a Silverado or a Cup car here. So just a misjudgment there, and part of it might be just how little visibility you have in these Cadillacs. It might be the car that's the hardest to see out of in this game. So it's easy to misjudge in those tight situations where you're trying to run about 2 feet off of the cars around you. So a 2-car accident there, both Gordon and John Larson sustaining a lot of damage as it brings out the caution for the 5th time, I believe, as you said.
Yeah, Harrison, as we had mentioned before, these cars are not designed to race on big high-banked ovals like Daytona International Speedway here. They are designed to race on road courses. So, you know, the aerodynamics and the flow of how the air goes on these cars, the way that the air flows in these cars is not something normal that they're used to, and especially with those big wings on the back of these cars, that disturbs a lot of the air, and especially when you have cars around you. We talk about being aero loose at some speedways, like with a lot of the NASCAR stuff. Yeah, I'm sure with that big wing on the back of these guys, it makes them feel very, very loose and slidey, as we've seen so far throughout the event.
Yeah, a lot of times a big wing gives you downforce, but in traffic, it certainly changes things a lot. And the dirty air certainly moving these cars around a considerable amount. The guys up front not having the trouble, but the guys behind them are certainly having a good bit of trouble trying to keep their cars straight.
So under caution once again here in the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event, Nick Doucette, your current leader on lap 32. Only a few laps to go left in this segment. While these guys are under yellow, we're going to step away once again for another quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back from the Daytona International Speedway to resume this race.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
Inside SimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway here tonight for the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event, running the Cadillac CTSV race cars here at the 2.5 mile Super Speedway in Daytona Beach, Florida. Currently sitting under caution here on lap 33. Nicholas Doucette out in front. He's led the majority of this race after the first incident took out the leaders on lap number 3. It has been the 51 of Doucette the entire way. This segment's scheduled to end on lap 35. I believe we're going to get the one to go this time by. So unless we hear otherwise, this is going to be a one-lap shootout on this restart to the completion of this segment, where we will see one driver eliminated. It was originally going to be 2, but the 81 machine of Colton Berkey has retired from the event, so he takes up one of the eliminated spots, and we will only have to eliminate one driver instead of 2, as they have gotten the white flag one to go for this restart, and the field is doubled up and getting ready for the restart.
Yeah, John Larson in the 98 was struggling coming out of that wreck. His car was extremely broken, but did a good job fighting that thing back to the pits to get that reset. We'll be restarting the race from the 8th position. Right. The second competition caution, and then 20 laps fighting to stay in a good position to fight for this win. So as they work their way down the backstretch, ever since Nick Doucette has taken the lead when the front 2 tangled about 8 laps into the race, he has kept that position, but that's not to say that the high side hasn't been competitive enough to challenge. It's been a side-by-side battle for the lead just about all race, but we haven't seen the leader be able to, or excuse me, we haven't seen the leader of the outside line been able to clear the leader of the race and take that position. But as we get closer and closer to the conclusion of this race, it certainly will be a harder-fought battle as more people just get a little more aggressive with pushing. As I talk about pushing, the 04 of Galen Gidman finds himself restarting 4th, and he seems to be pushing better than anyone here. So it'll be interesting to see just how well he can push Michael Johnson on the outside line this start.
So the field will come off of turn number 4, getting ready for the restart here. To complete lap 34, going to be a 1-lap dash to the completion of this segment. Currently restarting in the elimination spot is the 07 machine of Gary Bauer. Green flag gets out, and we are underway.
Yeah, the 04, not the start that he was looking for, falls back a little bit, gets a bump draft from the 44 of Kevin McCarthy, as the 04 gets some of that momentum back that he lost. but without someone pushing him behind him, Michael Johnson losing ground, but the number 3 of Dallas Markle making his first charge of the race. We saw him taking it easy for quite a while Dallas in that 3 car, that silver, black and white, or I should say off-white, it's not quite silver, but he's working on the Michael Johnson's rear bumper, trying to push him to the lead, and it appears that Dallas is pushing more aggressively with his bumper than we've seen most of these cars, as Kevin McCarthy is right up on these guys as well. So a little bit of distance on the start, but now we have the top 6 all grouped together again. Actually, the top 8 all grouped together again.
Here they come to the start-finish line. It is going to be Nicholas Doucette leading lap number 35, and he will, I guess you could say, win segment number 2. Caution flag is out, and in 11th spot is the number 24 of Everett Lane. So Everett Lane, his race has come to an end here, as he will be the 5th driver to be eliminated from the event, and we're now down to 10 cars.
Yeah, Everett Lane, a considerable amount of damage on his car, simply not able to keep up with the pack. So by this, what I believe will be his being eliminated right now sort of puts him out of his misery. Certainly it could be very, very rough running a race with damage around Daytona or Talladega for that matter. Super Speedway racing where you can't keep up with the pack is about like driving to the convenience store just around the corner to pick up a loaf of bread. There's nothing much you could do but hold your hand on the wheel and put your arm on the window and just ride. So frustrating for Everett Lane, involved in a few wrecks. Will probably find himself being removed from the race, being eliminated. We will be left with the top 10 cars battling for this win.
Now, even though Everett's race has come to an end, he does have a chance to still be a winner here tonight. If he decides to stick around, he will be entered into a drawing amongst all 15 drivers in this race, entered to win a free track of their choice here on iRacing. So that is a bit of a cool little award that these guys are adding to the prize list for this all-star race. Now, there is a mandatory pit stop this caution. Alan, are there any specifications on what they must take on this pit stop, or do they just have to make some sort of pit stop?
They can do whatever they want as far as pit for tires, fuel, whatever, but they must stay in the pits until they are called out. And a little monkey wrench that we are throwing in is they will be called out of the pits in inverted order. So, Nicholas, sorry, bud. You're going to be starting in the back.
Inverted starting spot for this final segment. That is going to throw a huge game changer into this event. Now, since the field is not pacing around, I'm not sure if laps will be counted, since the field won't be out right away, depending on how long it takes them to figure this order out. But that is going to put the number 18 machine of Jay Anderson out in front. Gordon Berkey would be second, John Larson third, Gary Bauer fourth, Galen Kidman fifth, then Kevin McCarthy, Dale Smalley, Dallas Miracle, Michael Johnson, and Nick Doucette, if I am reading from the correct listing of scoring.
Yeah, and this is a track where these guys can pass, so if Nick Doucette restarts tail end, which he will, I believe, it's not a total... It's not the end of his race, so to speak. These guys can pass here. It's just that we haven't seen them get too aggressive. I think as we enter the final segment here, they're going to have 20 or less laps to go. We will see some three-wide action, and it'll be really interesting to see how these guys work through traffic. A lot of the guys that were struggling will be starting up front, and they're going to be meeting on in the middle. So it's going to be really interesting to see how patient these guys are. Obviously, 20 laps at Daytona is just about 16 or 17 minutes if it remains green. So certainly you have a lot of time, or maybe more like 15, 16 minutes. But they have a lot of time to make this happen. But they have to get up there when they can, because you never know if you have an opening, if that's going to be the only opening you have for a lap or two. It's easy to get blocked in, and it's super speedway racing, so it's going to be great. It's going to be interesting to see just how well the guys who are running up front will be able to, move their way through the pack.
It will be very interesting to see what is going to happen here. Some guys who have been in the back are now going to get a shot up at the front, and some guys who have been at the front are now going to see what they got in the back. And, if I'm somebody up front, and I've been hearing about what's been going on, like Nick Doucette or Michael Johnson, I don't know if I really want to go back there and have to deal with cars in front of me and possibly being a victim of somebody else's mistake. So it will be a very interesting thing to see what is going to happen with who is going to be doing what. We haven't seen a lot of extreme passing, but it is possible. You just have to play the cards right, learn the draft the right way, and you can make the moves when you need to. So it will be a very interesting segment to watch here, and to bring it to the finish here, we have probably just under 20 laps of racing when we do get the green flag here to get out in this final segment.
Yeah, John Larson in the number 98, who we've seen being in the wrong place at the wrong time much of this race, got involved in some wrecks. I don't believe he was the cause for any of them, and he finds himself restarting in third. So sometimes your bad luck becomes your good luck, puts you in a good position. In fact, earlier today, if you watched the Cup race, Jamie McMurray was spun out. I believe that put him on a slightly different strategy. He was able to get himself a top 5 finish. Sometimes, you think your race is over when it's really a stroke of good luck. As these drivers get lined up, the leader will be Jay Anderson as they work their way around right now, having to pass the pace car, I believe. But they have the order sorted out. Nick Doucette has played everything perfectly, qualified in the 3rd position, I believe, and worked his way to the lead, avoiding catastrophe. And it'll be very interesting to see just how well he plays. He's a young 13 years old, as we pointed out earlier, so it'll be interesting to see how much patience he has and how he plays through this traffic. So certainly this is going to be a very interesting final segment.
Indeed it will. It'll be very interesting to see who is going to be able to do what. And you mentioned about John Larson's luck kind of turning around. If I'm going to have some sort of negativity fall in my race, I'm going to want to have it happen towards the beginning of the race, because that way you have a ton of time to overcome it and get back to where you were, and that is exactly what is going to happen for John Larson, as he will restart on the inside of row number 2, as these guys getting things all lined up and sorted out here. And looks like we're probably going to have about 17 or 18 laps to decide the winner here once things get situated.
And also up front, Jay Anderson, we have seen him pretty loose. And I believe he was, as they extend the caution, as they get this order sorted out, Jay Anderson having a little bit of a struggle earlier in the race, but he doesn't have to deal with any dirty air up front, but he does have a little bit of nose damage. Not sure how it's affecting him. It might just be cosmetic enough to where it doesn't really affect his speed, but if it's affecting his speed whatsoever, he will be able to draft with people most likely, but he will not be able to lead. So it'll be really interesting to see just how the drivers behind him look on this restart compared to the leader. The leader might be a sitting duck. Jay Anderson might be a little bit too damaged to hold the lead. As these drivers get lined up on the backstretch. I believe we're going to get the 1 to go as they come around this time, and they'll double up. They appear to be in basically the right positions, sorting out all those scoring issues right now as they get lined up for this final segment. And it appears that they're going to cross the line this time and be 20 to go. It should be a 19-lap segment.
That's what I'm seeing myself here, Harrison. 19 laps to figure this one out. And we'll go through the running order one more time now that everything is official. Jay Anderson has assumed the lead on the inversion. Gordon Berkey will line up in 2nd. John Larson 3rd. Gary Bauer 4th. Galen Gidman 5th. Kevin McCarthy 6th. Dale Smalley 7th. Dallas Miracle 8th. Michael Johnson 9th. And Nick Doucette in 10th. 10 cars, 19 laps, 1 winner to decide who is going to be crowned the Cora Sunday Money All-Star Driver.
As we see Nick Doucette all the way on the inside, way in the back. I believe they might be lining up some of these guys single file towards the back, depending on how the game is scoring them, taking care of some issues right now. But Doucette's got his work cut out for him. With 19 to go, we thought it'd be just about 20, so that takes one lap away from him right there. But Doucette has driven a perfect race so far. It's going to be really interesting to see how that number 51 gets his way through traffic. And right in front of him is Michael Johnson, who we saw leading that high side for much of that last run. And Dallas Markle, who spent a lot of time in the back and then made a charge right before the end of segment number 2. Will be starting in 8th position as well, as mentioned. And so 3 drivers who probably think that they have the best chance of winning, or at least did, going to have to come from the tail 3 positions as they work their way down this backstretch. Jay Anderson wondering, is my car clean enough to hold this lead? Certainly, when you have the lead on the low side, best strategy is to keep it low and keep the throttle down. And so Jay's hoping that he doesn't have any moments where he gets loose like earlier, and his car should handle much better up front. But Gordon Berkey looking to capitalize, and ironically Gordon Berkey getting an incident in the tri-oval with John Larson earlier. But that's Larson starting in 3rd, and Gary Bauer in 4th, as actually Jay Anderson keeping them pretty slow through turn 4 right here. Not quite running on the pace car, looking to control the pace.
Pace car getting ready to duck down onto pit road as it has done, getting ready to go back. Green flag racing here. 19 laps left in this race to figure out who is going to be crowned the All-Star winner. Pace car is off. Green flag is back in the air. The number 18 Pete Gainier Freeze Cadillac is going to hit the green flag, and we are racing once again. A great start on the outside from the number 17 of Gordon Berkey. He has the lead at the line, and it looks like he is going to be able to clear that inside line there to take the lead. Looks like John Larson getting a little held up there from the 18, trying to find his way by, as the 07 makes his way by. That's Kevin McCarthy in the 44 working the top side, trying to get by. So a bit of a poor restart there for the 18 machine. You see it's starting to drop back. Now Galen Gidman looking to the top side to try and get by. Possibly some damage on that 18 car, holding him up a little bit.
Yeah, you could tell. It was very interesting. Sort of what I thought was going to happen was that he wouldn't be able to lead, and he couldn't keep up at all when he was that lead car. He and the outside front row driver there, the 17, both got about an equal restart. They both reacted about equally, but that damage on the front of the 18 car of Jay Anderson, he couldn't lead, but once they tucked him down in front of him, he was able to draft up to them. So if you're Jay Anderson and you want to win this race, as the 04 in front of him gets loose but saves it, or gets tight, just bring it back down to the lane. But that 18 of Jay Anderson, if you're Jay, you realize you can't take the lead too early. If you think you can win this race, you want to strategize where you're going to get the lead just in time to win the race, because you won't be able to hold it for too long. So if you're Jay, you want to see that white flag, then you know the caution won't fall, and he'll try to get the lead out of turn number 4. Or at least that's the strategy if you're Jay. If you're one of these other guys where you can hold the lead, you probably want to get that lead fast and try to just retain that position. But right now, Galen Gidman, one of the better pushers in this race, made his way up to the 3rd position, restarted in 5th or 6th, I believe restarted in 5th, finds himself in 3rd, but Gordon Berkey doing all he can right now and holding on to that lead.
Indeed he is, hanging down at the bottom side. It seems to be the place to be, where we saw Nick Doucette run the entire first 2 segments and didn't really lose much of the lead. Nobody on the outside could really pass and clear him and drop down to actually take that spot away from him. So maybe that's the place to be, but that outside line, it's sticking nice and tough. Gary Bauer trying to make it work and trying to get the run to move up there and clear the 17 machine to try to take over the lead. But right now the bottom line still being the place to be. Galen Hickman's right behind him. We've seen how strong he's been all night. It wouldn't surprise me if we get this thing going, if he doesn't try to make some moves himself and try to get up to the front, because he's been one of the best guys out on the track that hasn't touched the lead quite yet. So it'd be interesting to see if he can continue that streak of good racing to try to get him up front to the lead. As it looks like maybe Kevin McCarthy's peeking to the outside of that 07 machine to try to make it 3 wide for the lead, I think. but he doesn't really have a lot of help, and it is 3 wide up front. And actually, the 07 and the 44, they do push by and clear. Gary Bauer will drop down in front of the 17 to clear. That's the first time we've seen that. Oh, and there goes the 17 and I believe the 69 into the outside wall. Caution is out, multiple cars upside down.
That's a tough break for the cars involved in that. That was, I believe the wreck broke out. They were 3 wide. I thought it was going to work out for Kevin McCarthy, but no one went with him. He was stuck out there all on his lonesome. And then the 69 of Dale Smalley coming through 3 and 4 came down the track into the 17 of Gordon Berkey. And into the wall they went. Kevin McCarthy sustaining damage, and John Larson involved once again. Someone came down into him, I believe, as he was passing by the wreck. So John Larson, a victim once again, I believe, as I go back and look. As they were avoiding the wreck, John just gets turned down onto the apron and sustains some front-end damage, but not very much. So Larson will take his car to pit road, likely to repair whatever is wrong with his car, but getting the worst of it right there, Dale Smalley, Kevin McCarthy, Gordon Berkey.
Yeah, for sure. Another tough incident there for John Larson, as he has been involved in most of the incidents here tonight. Just a not quite the night that he has been looking forward to. He'll get that car fixed up once again and give it a shot. But Gary Bauer, first time he has held the lead tonight. He is out in front. Galen Gidman second. Jay Anderson, Michael Johnson, and Kevin McCarthy to round out the top 5. Nick Doucette, I'm sorry, was able to avoid that, and he sits in 6th place now, so he'll start up on the outside. And no, he won't. Kevin McCarthy working his way down pit road, so Nick will be in 5th place now.
Yeah, Nick Doucette, I was wondering just how patient he would be. If the answer to that was very patient. I went and looked at what he was doing, and he had his chance to go 3 wide a number of times, choosing not to go 3 wide, exhibiting a lot of patience, driving like a veteran. And so Nick Doucette up to 5th, did a good job of avoiding that wreck. Kevin McCarthy was the car that pitted in front of him, who got sandwiched into the wall when the wreck broke out. So certainly Kevin McCarthy taking care of some damage fixing. Looking at the number of cars that came down pit road, it appears that it'll be 6 cars that are staying out under this caution. But Nick Doucette doing a good job of keeping himself patient. Will be interesting to see where he can go on this restart. Gary Bauer, we saw running in the outside line earlier in the race quite a bit, trying to push the 2nd place man to the lead, but hasn't seen the lead until now, and the race is in his hands. Galen Gibbon right with him, though.
Absolutely going to be a good fight to watch, as I'm going to guess probably 11 or 12 laps to go when we get the restart. We're working the way down the back straightaway right now. The lights are still on, so we aren't going green this time, possibly next time. Hopefully we can get this thing to finish under green the rest of the way. And I think if we can get a green flag finish, it's going to be very, very interesting. A very interesting finish to watch and to see, because that outside line seems to be able to get the runs the longer the straightaways come up. And I think that if they play it right, they could get the run on the inside line enough to prevail heading to the start-finish line. So it should be good if we see a green flag finish.
Yeah, and something to remember is when the white flag comes out, a caution does not end this race. They let them race back to the start-finish line. It's basically the way of this team having somewhat of a green-white checker without actually having green-white checkers. So when the white flag is out, a caution cannot end the race. So these drivers who maybe won't be leading at that point, the leader will be hoping to God that he gets a caution before they get there, if he's in that spot, because when you're at the last lap at Daytona, you're the leader, you're in a very vulnerable spot, as I believe a car just parked it on the front stretch. Didn't catch who that was real quick, but it was actually John Larson. I think he exited pit road. Maybe he wasn't happy with the way his car felt. He was still yawed out, and the car was not tracking right, so John Larson will lose a lap with the towing that he's doing right now.
Yeah, possibly calling it a night there, John Larson. It's been a rough night for him, and it wouldn't surprise me if he would be stepping out of the car here tonight. But we will figure out what exactly is going on with that story and pass it along as soon as we find out. While we have some time here, how about a little bit of information on the Championship Online Racing Association? Percentage of the fees are up for grabs Sunday night during the Sunday Money Series. You can win a trip to the bank, and you can visit them at their new website at Cora-racing.com for further information about this series and how to get registered. With a chance to win some money, I know I would definitely be looking into to try to compete here. Got a lot of great talent to try to overcome, but if you can overcome that talent and put yourself in position, you could be walking away from the race with a pretty nice chunk of change in your back pocket.
Yeah, what a lot of people worry about when they look at leagues with entry fees and payouts is that the purse will only be going to the top couple of cars. However, that's not the case here. The payouts are spread down to where if you're finishing in the top 10, I believe 10th place is breaking even as I go look at the purse right now, but the payout spread is very nice compared to pretty much any league I've ever run in with payouts. So you don't need to be Richard Towler to hop in here and win money in the Championship Online Racing Association, which I really like. Because listen, you're not going to win every race, you're not going to have good luck every race. The poll pays $5, 10th place is breaking even. Anything better than that, you're making money, but you are rewarded greatly for winning the race. It's $50 to win 30 for second, and that is a profit of, I believe, $45 should you win the race. So, in my humble opinion, it's worth racing at the Championship Online Racing Association.
Absolutely, Harrison. One lap to go here, and we will be back. We will be back green flag racing here. 11 laps to go on the restart here to wrap this one up. Gary Bauer's 07 machine made the pass on the outside to take the lead. He will now restart on the bottom, just under half a lap from going green here. Should be a good one. Hopefully we can keep it green flag racing and see a very exciting finish to the end of this race.
Yeah, with Gary Bauer in the lead, Galen Gidman restarting in the best position that he's had all night. And he sort of looks like Mark Martin to me, in the sense that he hasn't been leading right now, but he's always in the mix. He's been solid, he's been consistent, he's been in control. And now we will see if he can get pushed to the lead. But that is Michael Johnson behind him in fourth, one of the drivers who started in the back in this segment. And Michael Johnson has been working the high side pretty well all race. So we have two drivers on the high side that should be interesting. Kevin McCarthy is the third in line on the high side with a fresh car after that incident, so he should be good. Pace car is in. Coming to the restart, the green flag is out, and the 04 just a little bit slow on the 2-3 shift gives Gary Bauer the edge. But Gary Bauer well ahead of the car on the inside. Michael Johnson decides to go to that inside, leaves Galen Gidman out to try. What Michael Johnson considering going back high, but stays tucked in low. So Gary Bauer getting the help from Michael Johnson on the inside. Galen Gidman trying to hold strong there on the outside.
Gidman trying to stay tough, but it's hard. He doesn't quite have the help that Gary Bauer on the inside line does. Gordon Berkey sliding down through the inside. He backs it into the outside wall. No caution as he's the only guy back there. We stay green, 3 wide for the 5th place spot. Beating and banging tail, Smalley, Kevin McCarthy, Smalley around, and the wrecking Galen Gidman gets spun on lap 50. Caution comes out once again.
That's a tough break for a lot of those guys up front. 2 wrecks, basically, well, actually 3 wrecks happened at the same time, one of which a little bit earlier than the others. But looking at what happened here, they were 3 wide entering turn number 3. The 44 just came down a little bit. The car in the middle was running a little higher than he expected. And then Gidman gets turned because behind Gidman, we had Jay Anderson in the 18 come down the track a little bit, and he bumper hooked Michael Johnson. There was room there, but sometimes you get a little too close. The bumpers kind of hook together, and it drags that bottom car up the track. and that's what happened to Michael Johnson. So it brought Michael up the track into the number 04, and avoiding the wreck was the number 51 of Nick Doucette. Was running about 5th on the low side, hit the bit, narrowly avoided getting hooked, and then as the second wreck broke out, he was able to squeeze by at the bottom. So Nick Doucette, smooth and calculated, will find himself second on the next restart. Gary Bauer, loving the fact that he had the lead there, was able to avoid everything by being ahead of it. And so Gary Bauer and Nick Doucette on the front row. Nick Doucette, we saw qualified third, led a bunch of laps, and now he has a shot at the win again.
Indeed, he does, Harrison. I figured it was going to be quite a challenge for Nick to get back up to the front, but a couple of wreck avoidances, and he is right back in the hunt. If he can get the help, get the runs that he needs, then he can pull up to the outside and get around that 07 machine and put on one heck of a show, and to try to get back to where he was for the majority of this race. He'll probably have, I want to say, 5 or 6 laps to do it, so he'll have to make his moves quick, but it'll be very entertaining to watch him go and try to win this thing once again.
Yeah, we saw Nick Doucette's success all come from the low side, whether it's missing wrecks or gaining spots. Now, Nick is going to be on the high side. It'll be interesting to see who lines up behind him. Dallas Markle, who has played it pretty much easy most of the race. We saw him get aggressive towards the end of segment number 2, took it easy at the beginning of segment 3, finds himself back up to 3rd by virtue of playing it smart and avoiding the wrecks. So the complexion of this race has changed, and we'll see who is not damaged enough, or excuse me, who has not been damaged too much to where they can't keep up with the lead pack. I believe we're going to have a couple of cars that won't be able to get their damage fixed, but it'll be interesting to see just who can compete for this win towards the end.
So while these guys run under caution, we'll step away, take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back for the completion of this event. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back at Daytona.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Daytona International Speedway. Getting ready to finish up the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event. 1 lap to the restart. Going to have 6 laps to go. When we go green, Gary Bauer, your current race leader, Nick Doucette, second, Gordon Berkey, Galen Gidman, Kevin McCarthy, your top 5. 6 laps will separate Gary Bauer and a win here in the Cora Sunday Money All-Star race. Not only does he have the 6-lap deficit, but he also has a tough field behind him, especially the guy starting next to him, Nick Doucette. He's led the most laps here in tonight's event, trying to get back to the lead and win this race. It's going to be very interesting to watch him work his magic in this event.
Yeah, and looking at these cars currently running in the top of the running order, Gordon Berkey will be restarting, I believe, in position number 4 or 5, and he's got significant rear end damage, and he might be yawed out just a little bit, but no significant front end damage. It'll be interesting to see if he can keep up with the draft, but I believe his car will be too damaged to really compete for this win. However, Dallas Marco in the number 3 has a clean race car, as well as Galen Gidman, because Galen kept his car clean for most of the race to where he was able to reset under this caution, but a few cars having used up their number of resets, I believe it was 3 or 4, not able to get their car entirely fixed up. But as they double up, Gary Bauer's got himself a clean car, as well as Nick Doucette to his outside. That is the front row. Number 2 might be one wide. Because of his damage. Running in 4th, Kevin McCarthy. Running, Mark will be restarting in 6th, and then on the inside, 10 laps to go as the pace car turns in.
Green flag is out. Gary Bauer hits the throttle. Can't quite break free from Nick Doucette. Doucette sticking to his outside very well. 6 laps to go now to figure out a winner here. Doucette thinking about dropping down to the inside. Goes back to the top. Gidman goes with him. Now he goes back down to the bottom. And it's a 3-car breakaway from the rest of the pack. Gary Bauer, Nick Doucette, and Galen Gidman. Gidman to the top side, outside of Nick Doucette, trying to fight his way to the front. And I believe that's Dallas Miracle in the number 3 car behind Gidman. Now dropping down to the bottom, you see the 17 of Gordon Berkey. He drops to the very bottom of the racetrack to allow people to go by. And how about Galen Gidman challenging for the lead all by himself on the outside as they work into turn 3?
Yeah, he certainly will be getting help before long, because these drivers around him are taking note. That 0-4 knows what he's doing. It's just that he has no help right now. Nick Doucette looks 3 wide on the bottom, heads underneath the double yellow line, tucks back behind Gary Bauer. Galen Gidman leads that lap. A little bit of side drafting across the start-finish line, getting a little bit loose. And here comes Dallas Miracle in the number 3 car to the outside, now pushing the number 04. Gives a little bit of room there, as it looks like Gary Bauer, the leader, drifted up the track. Avoid an incident, though, as Dallas lifted quite a bit, lost a lot of momentum right there, as we have an all-out brawl here in the front. That is Dale Smalley, the blue car, going 3 wide on the outside with a huge run, looking to take the lead. They're 3 wide for the lead. Gidman in the middle. Smalley comes down. Gidman gets hooked.
Big wreck turn number 3, and I believe this is going to end the race as the caution comes out with 4 laps to go. Trying to see who wasn't involved in that, and I honestly think the only driver who wasn't, actually I'm seeing Doucette walk away here, Kevin McCarthy and Dale Smalley. So a fairly significant incident happening right there, and I believe that is going to end this race. I could be wrong, but I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think you're right. We were on lap number 56. Now, what's very interesting here is Dale Smalley got the lead out of that. However, they might assign him the blame for this incident. It's a tough judgment call, though. They're either going to call it a racing deal or on the 04 or the 69. I guess those are the three situations they could, the three options that they have here. Dale Smalley came out of that with the lead. If they give him the blame, which is possible here, it will give the win to Nick Doucette, who kept his nose clean and avoided that wreck. Doucette was running 5th at the time that happened. Actually, Doucette got into the car of Michael Johnson as he was avoiding the wreck, but certainly not the cause for the wreck. So we're going to have to see what the officials make the call here. If Dale Smalley gets called for this incident, he probably won't be happy, and he will lose this win. But Smalley right now shown as the leader with Doucette behind him, followed by McCarthy and Gary Bauer.
Going to be very interesting to see what happens here for the official word on what is going to be the result of this race. These guys would have to get the 2 to green this time by in order for there to be a restart, and I don't think that is going to happen. So I'm pretty sure this race is going to be over. A lot of hard racing. It took a little bit for these guys to kind of really settle in and to try to get decent runs in. And this car and track combo proving to be a very difficult task to handle. But right now at the end of the race, we're looking at possibly Dale Smalley or Nick Doucette going to come out on top with the win in this event. Waiting to see what the officials do on the incident that brought out the caution, and once we figure all that out, we will have official word on what's going to happen.
Yeah, Dale Smalley just mentioning that he had a meatball flag, had too much damage to fix. However, when you have a meatball flag during the final caution, the race does not restart. You retain your position no matter what. It will not give you a black flag, or excuse me, it will not DQ you or take a lap away from you until it's actually green again for a couple of laps. So Smalley able to retain his position up here in the lead as the officials look at the wreck. Now, Dale Smalley did hold his line. It's just, it was a very, very tight squeeze there. Maybe they might deem that he should have been higher on the track. Not really sure. It's a judgment call. I've seen officials go both ways in situations like that. But that's just a product of super speedway racing. A lot of times it's hard to blame someone in those tight squeezes like that. Things happen. But Nick Doucette, after restarting the race in segment number 3 from the 10th position, able to work his way all the way up to 2nd. Certainly looking for that one more position after the really strong showing he had. I believe he led the most laps, but currently shown in 2nd right now as we have 7 cars running on the lead lap right now. Galen Gibman involved in that wreck, currently being shown in 7th.
Moment of truth right here. If we are going green or not, lights on the pace car are still on. This race is officially over, and it's either going to come down to Dale Smalley or Nick Doucette. Still haven't heard official word yet on what is going to happen. I'm sure Nick's sitting back there in a second and said, man, I hope these guys give him an end of the line penalty, because Nick ran a fantastic race all throughout the night. Even when he was sent back to the back on the inversion, still fought through adversity to come up to 2nd, but couldn't quite make the pass for the lead on that last run, and sits himself in 2nd after leading all those laps.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Dale Smalley to get this lead went from 5th to the lead in turn 3 on one straightaway. He had an incredible run, took advantage of it, and tried side drafting these guys around him, as anyone would do. So it's up to the officials about whether they think the 04 came down or came up more than the 69 came down. Dale coming over the radio thinking that he might be the one to get the blame. But I tell you what, it is a very debatable call, and it's really hard to make that call as we come down. And it was an incredible run by Dale Smalley to get this lead, an incredible run, a more methodical run by Nick Doucette. And the officials have ruled that the L4 came up more than the 69 came down, which is pretty true from my vantage point looking at the replay, and Dale Smalley should be getting this lead, should be getting this win. They're going to come to the white flag this time and the winning move of the race. The winning move of this race is gonna come down to that incredible run down the backstretch. Dale Smalley went from 5th to 1st.
Yeah, that was an absolutely amazing pass by Dale Smalley outside there, able to use the draft to his advantage and slingshot by all these guys. And Dale Smalley going to be able to be declared the winner by race officials as long as he's able to make it back to the start-finish line one more time around, and he will be the winner of this All-Star race. And sitting there, as Nick just said, you got to be a little bit disappointed, wishing for one more restart, one more chance to try to get that win. He led so much of this race and seemed to have the best car throughout the night, but just could not get back to the front after the inversion, and he's going to have to settle for second.
Yeah, Nick Doucette did a great job all race of avoiding every incident on the track. So comes up one spot short of where he wanted to be, but a great showing nonetheless. Obviously, in this all-star race, Dale Smalley will be the winner. They're coming out of turn number 4. McCarthy, after an early incident, able to rebound and get 3rd. And Gary Bauer, a strong showing all race, comes home 4th. And Dallas Miracle, playing it pretty conservative for much of the race, will be coming home in 5th. So Dale Smalley, 3 wide on the outside. So the pass for the lead was 3 wide on the outside, and they were 3 wide down that entire backstretch. Galen Gibbon did what he had to do, trying to retain that position and run the 69 a little bit higher on the track as the 69 came down a little bit. But that's super speedway racing, and that happens, as we've seen all race long. All Dale Smalley needs is his car to keep running as he comes through 3 and 4. He wants to get to that stripe.
For sure, it's been a long night for these guys. This race lasting just over an hour and a half, and after an hour and a half fight, it's going to be Dale Smalley in the 69 machine to pick up the win. Coming off of turn 4 for the final time, looks like his car is at full power, at a healthy tone as it comes down the tri-oval for the final time, trying to wrap this one up here. Looks like it's going to be okay, and Dale Smalley has officially won the Sunday Money Cora All-Star event. It's now official as he crosses the line. Dale Smalley is the winner of the event. An hour and 34 minutes coming to a close. Dale Smalley the victor. Nick Doucette second, Kevin McCarthy third, Gary Bauer fourth, Dallas Miracle fifth, Michael Johnson 6th, Galen Gidman 7th, Jay Anderson 8th, Gordon Berkey and John Larson round out the top 10. Well, we're going to step away for a quick moment here to allow Dale Smalley to celebrate his big win, and we will be back to talk to him and the rest of the top 3 from tonight's Cora Sunday Money All-Star Race. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back for post-race festivities at Daytona.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Travis, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4, and the checkered flag, he wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
InsideSimRacing.tv, the fastest show on the internet. Sim racing news and reviews since 2007, with new shows every week.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cora Sunday Money All-Star Race here from Daytona International Speedway. The race has just concluded, getting ready to get our interviews with our top 3 drivers, and it is the number 69, Dale Smalley, picking up the victory. But before we get that victory interview, going to come down to our 3rd place finisher, the number 44 machine of Kevin McCarthy. Kevin, it was a very nice race for you. Ran fairly consistent all night, got to lead a lap, and you come home the bottom step of the podium here tonight. Talk about your race.
Yeah, it was quite eventful actually, with the All-Star race being what it is, and no holds barred and full of aggression and whatnot, which you don't normally see out of our drivers, but because non-points race, and it's all for the money and the glory, that the kind of driving that was displayed tonight was an evidence of that for sure. But I loved the high side and was able to stay out of trouble early, kind of staying back with Dallas Markle, and then near the end it was time to pick it up and move it out, and I was able to keep my nose clean enough to finish where I did.
Talk about getting used to driving this car around this track. It's a very wacky combination, not something that you see every day. A road car, race car designed for road racing, and definitely not for super speedway racing here at Daytona. Talk about the struggles it was to kind of handle this thing out, figure out how to run it consistently, run it clean, and to use it in the draft to your advantage.
You know, I think the trick was to just really stay behind somebody and wait your moment for them either to move or get down near the end of the race. As far as it was in the beginning of the race, was just holding out. But yeah, these cars are a little bit of an odd bird on the Daytona Speedway, but it seems to be quite the handling machine as far as road courses. But I believe because of the sway bar set up in the back, it tends to wiggle around a little bit, as you've probably seen, quite evident of tonight's race. So it's a little much to try and get a hold of.
Yeah, there was a lot of swerving and swaying going around there, and it was definitely evident to see there. Had this race gone back green, do you think you could have had a shot for Dale and Nick out there?
I believe so. I liked running the high side, and if I would have gotten the room on the high side during practice, we've often enough timed it properly coming around from the high side and been able to get enough run. But Dale's pretty stout there, and was getting his chin up on the steering wheel for sure at the end, and same thing with Nicholas. So I think it would have been a hard job, but I would have given it to them on the outside for sure.
Definitely would have been an epic battle to watch, but unfortunately that not being the case. Kevin coming home 3rd here tonight. Can't do it by yourself. What do you want to think?
I want to thank all the staff in Cora and all our race members that we have. Special thanks to Gordon Berkey and James Brown, Terry Hurley, and Alan Larson, along with James Brown's wife, who she's a very integral part of this too, Teresa. And everybody else that races with us in Cora. It's fantastic. I do enjoy it, and I'll be heading off to China on the 27th. So this was kind of like an inaugural see you later for a month, and I won't be around doing the officiating, which I normally is my duties within Cora, is the officiating. But yeah, that's about it for me.
The COO of CORA coming home in 3rd place here tonight. I believe Harrison is now down with Nick Doucette, the 2nd place driver. Harrison, take it away.
Yeah, I'm here with Nick Doucette, who was, possibly one of the youngest drivers in the race, probably the youngest driver in the race. Led a bunch of laps, had to go to the back after the inversion to start segment number 3, able to drive all the way up to 2nd, come up probably 1 lap short of where you wanted to be, Nick, but I tell you, you had some amazing wreck avoidances, and it had to be an entertaining and scary race from your vantage point.
Yeah, I was really nervous there coming towards the end. There was quite a few wrecks there, and I was trying to avoid them as much as I could, and unfortunately I got caught up in that last wreck. But I'm happy for Dale that he won it. he won it fair and square, and I'm happy with second place.
We saw a lot of cars, as Kevin McCarthy just mentioned moments ago, a lot of swaying around, a lot of people looking pretty loose out there. How did the car feel to you? Obviously a car that's not usually run on ovals.
For me, it actually felt kind of good for me today. It was running pretty stable, and I was happy with how the car was running.
And on the Sunday Money schedule, certainly a lot of different car and track combinations. Looking at some races ahead, we've got the late model at Richmond, trucks at Talladega, a late model at Charlotte, the Indy car at a few different places. Is there any track or car combo that you really look forward to driving, one that you prefer?
I'd like to do the trucks at Dega. I'm really good at Dega, and I'm really good in the trucks, so hopefully my parents will let me do that race.
Yeah, I would say you certainly earned it. I'm sure your parents were watching or will watch the broadcast and certainly did a great job tonight. So a second place finish, who would you like to thank?
Well, I'd like to thank Cora for all their help doing this race. I'd like to thank all the race control, and Jim Brown, Terry Hurley, Alan Larson, and Colin Foreman, and I'd like to thank you guys, ETV, for broadcasting this race.
So that's Nick Doucette, tonight's second place finisher. I believe Kyle has caught up with tonight's winner.
Indeed, I have, Harrison. Thank you. Dale Smalley down here, all smiles, picking up the victory here tonight at Daytona. A crazy, crazy move that you made there to take the lead late in the going. Dale, talk about your race and that pass at the end.
It wasn't pretty, but it was effective, I reckon.
Very effective, coming from 5th to 1st in the blink of an eye to take the lead and eventually holding on to pick up the win. A very different combination for you guys out here tonight. What was it like trying to get these big things to work in the draft to your advantage and to try to work your way through the field?
They were sure a handful. It was I don't know, not the best combination, but it was different, that's for sure. It's a little rough making them work in an oval, but it worked out.
Definitely a lot different from anything that you guys have seen before to try to make these things work on an oval. A lot of different combinations that you guys run, cars and track combinations. What kind of where does this one rank in a victory for you in this kind of combination?
I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad I won. It's not the way I'd like to win it, but and it's probably pretty far down on the totem pole for selected cars and stuff. I'd rather run anything else at Daytona or Talladega.
A bit of a different scenario for you guys, but you were able to pick up the win here tonight. Tell us who makes it happen for you.
My teammate Dallas Miracle, great teammate, and I'd like to thank Cora for putting this on. Just had a good time. Just like I said, I just don't like to win with that kind of carnage.
Your winner here tonight, the number 69 machine of Dale Smalley, picking up the win in the Cora Sunday Money All-Star Race. Now we'll throw the mic up to Alan Larson for some final thoughts and possibly the winner on tonight's contest.
Yeah, it was a good event. A little bit of a like Dale said, that car is a little bit of a handful, but it was definitely an interesting race to watch. Really looking forward to the rest of the season and getting back to what we do best there, the real cars on the real tracks. But it was definitely a monkey wrench thrown in there with the inversion, though. I like that part of it.
Very, very interesting race and very entertaining. Harrison, any final thoughts for you?
Yeah, just mostly a really interesting combination. Definitely sent these drivers for a loop. Something that not usually run when you take a road course car in an oval like that. It's just very interesting the way the cars react to the dirty air and react to bump drafting and everything. So certainly, as evident tonight, it was a difficult combination for a lot of these drivers, but it made for an exciting finish. A 3-wide pass for the lead, a huge run going down that backstretch for Dale Smalley. So an interesting race.
Interesting, definitely, to say the least. Something that these guys not having a lot of experience with. It definitely put their driving talent to the test here tonight, and Dale Smalley was able to prove the best strategy, the best combination of strategy and driver ability to come out on top of this one here tonight. That is going to do it here tonight for us at the Cora Sunday Money All-Star event. For Laura and JD up in the behind the scenes, putting everything together for everybody here at the Cora Sunday Money Series. For my broadcast partner, Harrison Weidelitz, I am Kyle Young, signing off, saying we will see you guys next week here at the Cora Sunday Money Series for late models at Richmond. Make sure you come back and tune in for that race. Good night.
Join 5,000 plus other listeners where you can hear everything from big 80s metal to classic rock and roll, country radio, ETV, live sports radio, even adult and unplugged rock and roll. HDRadioNetwork.com, one of the fastest growing internet radio networks. HDRadioNetwork.com. Take it with you, cowboy. Get the mobile app for Android, iPhone, iPad, and all the rest from TuneIn.com.